Okay, so here we are for part two. We're going back to Maya and Raymond coaching Barbara and Rusty for trial. So Maya is absolutely right when she's saying that the jury is going to take their cues from Barbara and she needs to show that she's supporting him and that he's innocent. But I love that. And going back to the whole trial is theater thing, everybody is playing a part and a role. Everybody's performing. So the lawyers for both sides are performing, the witnesses are performing, the judge is performing, the defendant's family is performing, everybody's performing. But I love that Barbara pushed back and she said, listen, the jury's going to see my truth. My husband is on trial for fucking murder. What can I be but shocked? I need to convey shock, especially at all these incredibly gruesome graphic photos that are being shown. And I think she's right that will play well with the jury. And I think if she didn't act that way, the jury would think that she was an incredibly cold bitch. And that doesn't go over well. I think I already said that this is such an incredibly accurate portrayal of trial and of criminal defense. So huge shout out to David E. Kelly. Like I said before, I discovered he's a lawyer, so it makes sense. But just shout out to everybody involved with the creation and the production of this show. So the attorneys are asked to approach the bench by the judge after Raymond is trying to basically posit his alternative killer theory. And what that moment highlighted for me is what an incredible job Noma Dumezweni, please forgive me if that's the improper pronunciation, is doing as Judge Little. She's doing a phenomenal job. Like the way that she reacts to things, the way that she addresses them is spot on for how a judge would act. And also I love that the judge is a Black woman. So like I said, Raymond is eating these cross-examinations up. And he's such a brilliant lawyer. And so I think he must have really done his research. The actor that's playing Raymond, his name is Bill Camp. Bill Camp, shout out to you. You obviously did your research. You're doing a phenomenal job as Raymond. So what we learn in trial is that Caroline made an HR complaint about Tommy and said that he gave her the ick. Carolyn completely agree. He's creepy as fuck. And obviously, possibly was in love with you, but is definitely obsessed with you. So I get it. We also learned that Barbara is an artist. She didn't just work in an art gallery, and she has a studio that is in a guest house behind their house, which clearly Rusty was making a ton of money and she was making a ton of money at this art gallery because their house is very large. And then they have like this other guest house. They have this large pool, like, okay, money. Barbara tells Rusty about the kiss, which I would not have done. And a fight ensues, which is just so fucking typical of a man. You had an affair for like an entire year, ended it, started it back up again, and you want to get upset and get angry and do all this because I kissed somebody? You're on fucking trial for murder, bitch. I think I'm allowed to kiss somebody. So they fight. She tries to walk past him. She says, fuck you, Rusty. He says, fuck me. And he grabs her. He grabbed her so hard. Now, I know, obviously, Jake Gyllenhaal's been acting a long time. It's probably just meant to look like he grabbed her hard. He probably didn't literally grab her that hard. Or maybe he did. Maybe Ruth said, look, we got to make it look realistic. Grab me. But, and I replayed this several times, just that scene. He grabbed her so fucking hard. And obviously, it's meant to make us as the audience feel like he's violent, feel like maybe he did do this. I 1000% believe that he didn't do this. It's going to be revealed to be someone else. And from what Ruth Negga said in the behind the scenes, she was very shocked when she discovered who the killer was. So obviously, it's not him. But when I tell you Ruth Negga and Jake Gyllenhaal are acting down, like that scene alone, phenomenal. Barbara is doing an excellent job Ruth Negga is doing an excellent job portraying a wife in this particular position. And Jake Gyllenhaal is such an intense actor. And so when his intensity comes out, like when he's really angry, I love those scenes because he plays them so well. And I love the relationship that he has with Jaden. I remember I talked to y'all before and I said, he's not showing her enough affection. Like, I don't like that. Ever since I said that, I don't know, they heard me. I don't know what happened. I mean, obviously the show was edited before I said that, but you know what I mean. I'm making a joke. But he's had all these tender moments with her since I said that. And, you know, like when she falls asleep on the couch and he's like pushing her hair back and he's like stroking her arm, he's holding her hand, he's like, you gotta go to bed, honey, and all this and that. And just what it shows to me, and this is something I've seen in my real life as well, is that it doesn't matter what a man does, like what terrible things he does. If he has children, at the end of the day, he's their father. And they're going to love him as their father. So even that moment when he's out on like the porch, you know, with Jaden, and she's basically talking to him about disassociation, like, have you ever done that? And then the next day she feels guilty about it and she runs up to him in the kitchen and hugs him. It's like, I'm sorry if I upset you last night. Like, at the end of the day, he's her dad and she loves her dad. And so I just love the way that their relationship, we get to see the ins and outs of their relationship. Lorraine is such a fucking good friend to Barbara. Barbara goes over to her the night after the fight, and the first thing Lorraine says is, why'd you tell him? I'm with you, Lorraine. And Lorraine said, you know what? You're not going to court alone anymore. I'm coming with you. I'm supporting you. Which, after we see what happened at the end of the episode, thank God she was there. So we go to the meeting in the judge's chambers. So she's talking about murder 1. For those of you that don't know, that means first-degree murder. Typically, to get a first-degree murder conviction, you would need premeditation. There's no evidence of premeditation in this case. It's very clearly a crime of passion. So when she's telling them, listen, she's telling the prosecution, you're not gonna get that. So then she's like, listen, y'all want a conviction? We don't want Rusty to go completely free. Voluntary manslaughter, that seems like a good charge to me. So she's doing that in the interest of the efficiency of the court, but she's also doing it because she's trying to protect Carolyn's son from having to take the stand because she thinks that it will be traumatic and painful for him, which obviously it will be. No dice from either side, which obviously, why would Rusty want to plead guilty to voluntary manslaughter and have to spend 8 years in prison if he actually didn't do anything? And then 8 years in prison when somebody's dead to the prosecution is going to feel like nothing. So it's completely realistic that both sides said no dice. When Caroline's son is on the stand, Tommy says to him, so you took these videos. Wanted to let all of you know what Tommy is doing is called, he is authenticating the video. So what that means is, in order to introduce something into evidence, a video, a picture, whatever, you have to authenticate it. Basically meaning that it's real, it hasn't been altered, and that you didn't just find something from somewhere and now you want it to be evidence in this case. So you would call to authenticate something. You would, for example, this video, you would have to call to the stand the person who took the video, which they did, and you would ask him, so you took this video, which Tommy did, and then you would say, is this depiction accurate for what you remember, something like that, and the person would say yes, and then you might ask a few more questions. Is that date accurate? Is the time accurate? Et cetera, et cetera. And then after you ask your questions, you would ask for permission from the court to enter the video into evidence. The judge will ask the opposing side, do you have any objection? Usually there's not, and the video gets entered as evidence in the case. Raymond has a heart attack. I'll let y'all know, I looked on IMDb, and it says he's in all 8 episodes of this limited series. So I don't think he dies. So we'll see what happens in the next episode, but this show is incredible. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments. I did it in 2 videos. Shout out to me, and I'll see y'all next week to talk about this show. Peace.